You know, there's three simple sugars, guys, in nature. You have your fructose, which is your simple fruit sugar. You have your glucose, which is your simple vegetable sugar. And you have galactose, which is your simple milk sugar. And these are the three simple sugars. When you start complexing these sugars, then you start getting into di, which is 2 or more, and then you get into polysaccharides. Saccharides are sugar. Sugars are the carbon side of nature, where amino acids are the nitrogen side of nature. Carbon tends to be on the base side of chemistry, and the nitrogen tends to be on the acidic side of chemistry. When you start looking at the foods that have these simple sugars in them, they're base in their structures. Because base-dominant food is the appropriate food for the Homo sapien, matter of fact, for most vertebrates. So when someone claims that fruit sugar, natural fruit sugar is bad for you, these guys are probably of the intellectual variety who got lost in studies that are meaningless and have no basis in fact or truth. But it is important that you understand that sugar is carbon, and carbon is essential to acquiring ATP, ADP, and AMP. These are the adenosine tries, dyes, and monophosphates. These are the energy factors of cells, where oxygen and carbon are combined with the hydrogen yanked out, which is the acidic side of chemistry, and now you have energy, pure energy. It's important to understand that sugars are essential. Very important to understand the high level of frequency of fructose and of fruits. And it is the only level that you can regenerate man's nervous system on. So this concept that fruit sugar feeds cancer cells is so far off point, it's not even funny. All sugar. And to argue that fructose, a natural sugar, is bad for you, but the glucose, a same inferior natural simple sugar, is better, makes no sense. Carrot juice, you don't fast on carrot juice, you don't fast on vegetable matter. Matter of fact, fasting is a water or dry fasting event in nature. However, the fruits have the astringents and the energetic power. Their digestive needs are so small that the yield of energy, systemic energy to the body, is much higher than that of vegetables. To say that fruit sugar, again, feeds cancer cells, all sugar feeds cancer cells. Young babies know, and young children know, I can lay a big table of fruits and vegetables, and 9 out of 10 children will go to the fruit before they go to the vegetables at all. They love the fruit. So these are some of the things that when we're arguing about fructose and saying that fructose is bad for you, if someone arguing high fructose corn syrup, you're talking about something that's a process that's way out there. You're not talking about simple fructose sugar from a fruit. So to sit there and talk about fructose and not about glucose, you know, when you're trying to avoid sugar and you're saying, well, fructose feeds cancer cells and glucose doesn't, that's insane. All sugar feeds all cells, ATP, ADP, and AMP. All sugar's carbon. But it's a moot point to say that I'm going to, that I'm feeding these cancer cells and that's what's making my cancer grow. That's insane. But anybody thinks that fruit is bad for you has a lot of problems with their consciousness. You know, unripe fruit, there is a big difference. Unripe fruit is more acidic because the growth stages of fruits are the nitrogen stages. You pick fruit ripe. This is part of the problems. If you're judging unripe fruit, then you're making a misjudgment. But all sugar feeds all cells. It's carbon. And we've had 45 years of proving this. So it's just enough to say that the argument of fruit sugar and fruit sugar is bad for you is ridiculous. It has no basis in fact, and half the people on this planet would be dead. So it's ridiculous. And to have anybody that's at any learned position say stuff like that is just unconscionable. The level of carbon you need to burn comes from sugars. That's why sugars are essential. So people downplaying sugars they don't know what they're talking about. You know, you have to have a simple sugar, fructose, glucose. And I think what people don't realize is they taste the sweetness of fruit and they blame it on sugar. It's always the sugar. And so then they eat a piece of bread, say a whole grain, 12 grain bread, and they go, it's not sweet like this grape. And yet the bread has at least 100 times more sugar. I mean, that's a polysaccharide where a fruit is a monosaccharide. Saccharide meaning sugar, but sugar meaning carbon. So when you look at how the body uses the sugars and pulls the hydrogen out and uses the carbon with the oxygen, that's just how we get ATP, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is just like the energy from a battery, you know, the energy that's produced from the combination of carbon and oxygen.